All right. So I think we're good to get started. So just to here, I'll go back for a quick reminder that this is a PLC, a professional learning community, which is a team of educators investigating their practice. So the idea is for you to come and share the work that you're doing, and for Madeline and I to facilitate the conversation and kind of help bring in the lens of the program's quality standards and also kind of the science of early childhood education. But mostly it's for teachers to share what they're doing and talk about things that are working and things that maybe they want to think more deeply about, any questions that they have. And in order to make a space where that's really possible, we stole these agreements and commitments from IFR, or the mental health consultants. So the first one is to take responsibility for self-care and safety. So if you have a need, take care of your need. This is a virtual space too, so uh, hopefully you can participate in the ways that are meaningful to you. Number two, it's what's said here stays here, and what's learned here leaves here. So please respect each other's privacy, right? If someone is struggling with something, or if you see something, try to keep it within this group, and you can always talk to Madeline or I if you have a concern that you really want to focus on, but otherwise try to respect each other's privacy. But if you learn something, make sure you share it with as many people as you can. That's one of the main reasons we're here. Number three, try to remember that nobody knows everything, that together we know a lot. So that's kind of like the stepping up and stepping back to me a little bit, right? Like, make sure that we're not taking over the space but also making sure that we are asking questions and making room for everyone to contribute. And I totally agree that we know more together than any of us would individually. And then the fourth one is, if you disagree with something you see or hear, challenge with love and curiosity, not judgment, right? So if you disagree with something, try to think of a question you can ask to respond, with the assumption that everyone here is here with good intentions, right? That we're all trying to do the best we can for children, families, and other teachers. And if we come with that stance, right, with that perspective, we're going to be able to learn a lot more from each other. Now we're going to share some documentation. I'm going to hand it over to Madeline and stop sharing my screen.
All right. Hi, everybody. So today we're doing things a little bit differently. We've noticed that you all have so many different types of documentation to share every time we meet. And so today what we're going to do is show the documentation that we have, and kind of give it back to you guys and ask you to help us do some sleuthing. So kind of search maybe what strategies you see in the documentation that's being shown. And as the team, yes, oh yes, I'll share the strategies here. And as the team at Women's Building, and I see Mission Bay is here as well, as you guys are talking about things that you've been doing over the past month, hopefully sharing some videos or pictures, help each other be able to identify what are the strategies that you see being done by the teachers. And maybe if there's one that you haven't heard mention or want to leave a question about, then we're here to talk about it. So what I'll do first is I will put up the strategies so that we can look at them as sort of a refresher, right? So thinking back to the Soy Bilingue training, these are all of the strategies that that we looked at in practice. And some of these we've talked about so far in this PLC, things like realia last month, things like open-ended questions, so thinking about some of these strategies that we've seen over the past couple of months, now today we can kind of put our knowledge to the test and see if we can identify them in some of the documentation. All right, so we'll go ahead and start with Women's Building. Women's Building has a lot of beautiful photos to share with us today. So we'll go ahead and give them the floor first, and maybe introduce the photos to us, and then we can go through and look at them and talk about them together. All right, so Women's Building, would you like to tell us about what you submitted to the Padlet?
Ay, ay, ay. Buenas tardes. Esa foto que mandamos, fue de que hicimos un paseo, de que hablamos de dos temas a corto plazo, que fue de los insectos y y las mascotas. Entonces, con nosotros, todas las compañeras decidimos hacer un paseo para que los niños tuvieran esa experiencia de conocer, de ver más reales los insectos o los animales. Y para ellos, los niños iban bien emocionados en el autobús porque muchos no habían tenido esa experiencia. Entonces, para nosotros fue sentirnos también muy felices de verlos a los niños que lo disfrutaron mucho el paseo. Sí. No.
Buenas tardes. Yo no pude ir al paseo por X motivos, pero la finalidad que se organizó el paseo fue para que los niños puedan vivenciar directamente con los animales, con los insectos, con los otros animales que hay en el zoológico, y que ellos también puedan observar, a vivenciar, y también puedan extender su vocabulario en inglés y en español. Ok. María.
Bueno, también la intención del paseo fue que los niños compartieran con otras personas, como podemos ver en esta foto. Está la mamá de un niño que ella habla más inglés. Entonces, también quisimos invitarlos para que compartieran con los niños y ellos también, conocieran otras personas e interactuaron con ellos tanto en inglés como en español. Okay. Las cabras.
Yeah, I'll go through and show some more of the photos.
Creo que la maestra Liz puso comentarios en cada foto. No sé si se podrá ver.
Vamos a hablar.
No, el comentario que puso.
No, pero me la dejaron ahí.
Pues ahí pasamos un momento socioemocional con los niños. Los insectos. Y compartiendo con otra familia.
Beautiful, beautiful photos. All right, so I heard you share that the children have been talking about insects and learning about doing the insect study as well as learning about pets. So you provided it seems like an amazing hands-on experience to really have the children observe and experience these things. But I heard a lot of examples of different strategies. Did anybody or even the team from Women's Building jump in, and what did you hear that they were doing? What were some of the strategies that you heard? Ricardo might be typing. Let's see.
Is that Oakland Zoo or San Francisco Zoo? Because it's so beautiful.
It's Oakland. With
Oakland.
their like holiday light sculptures up.
Mm-hmm.
The whole butterfly scene is temporary, and those light up at night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
Sí.
beautiful.
El proceso de la mariposa.
I was really struck by this one, family knowledge, because using a field trip to create a common experience for families and build families' knowledge so that they can talk about what you're studying at school with their kids, but also, like you were saying, families can talk to each other. And the fact that you were helping them to helping parents talk to each other in both languages, to me was a really powerful way of building community.
Sí, y lo que más, como dijo la maestra Guille, nos impresionó de que algunos niños nunca habían tenido la experiencia de visitar un zoológico, no lo conocían. Y eso fue algo impresionante porque estaban sorprendidos. Y fue más de un niño que nunca había ido a un zoológico. Entonces, es bien bonito darles la oportunidad, si se puede, ¿por qué no? A llevarlos a lugares que tal vez sus familias no tienen, económicamente no pueden llevarlos. Entonces, eso es muy bonito. Yo por mi parte me siento bien contenta de haber podido ver a los niños esa cara de gusto, de alegría, de sorpresa, muchas emociones.
Wonderful. But yeah, hearing that even, you talking about one of the parents as, being one of the English language models for the day and, saying that that she speaks a lot of English. And so being able to even identify outside of just your teaching staff and, being able to look at that, I think was great too, because the parents looking at this photo, you can see that the parents really were teachers during this day. And I think that's so impactful that they got the chance to really not only step into the classroom with the children, with their own children, but to get a chance to be teachers. I mean, look at her, she's pointing, and I can see her probably labeling and tasking questions. So that's such a wonderful opportunity, and great that you were able to identify what she was going to be able to help with. Lots and lots and lots of what we talked about last month, which is realia, right? And sometimes that realia is what can spark that, as you said, that surprise and that wonder, that happiness, because children don't get to see things like this every day, right? They see the toys in the classroom, they see the pictures in the books, but to see it up close, the real thing, is what really sparks the excitement and the imagination. So this is such a great example of how realia can really take that concept development to the next level. They will remember this, and by connecting the experience to the word and the concept is what makes it such a great strategy and for their language development. So going to the zoo and having these experiences are just such excellent ways to be able to do that. So wonderful idea. Let's see, let's go back to the strategies. Did anybody else see any other examples? Or maybe teachers looking at the strategies now, maybe you're thinking, oh, maybe we did do a little bit of that strategy while we were at the zoo.
Yeah, I wonder if student helpers came up. Or using previous knowledge. Had you studied any of these animals already at school? I'm sure there were lots of open-ended and closed-ended questions. Can you go back to that picture where the person is pointing?
Yes.
It just made me think about, because sentence frames, right? Because I'm always thinking about sentence frames because it's such an unusual strategy for me. I don't think I really ever did that. And so I was trying to brainstorm, like, what kinds of sentence frames could I use here? And for this one, I was thinking, oh, maybe it could be like, I see, and then have the children repeat, I see, and then kind of fill in the blank, like whatever they see. I see a snake, or I see a tree, right? And then I was thinking, oh, but the families are there. I wonder if, if you're prepping families to be kind of like acting as teachers, maybe like the English language model parent, you could be like, hey, why don't you try this sentence frame where to have the kids say, I see, so they can practice their English with you. So then I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of a cool way to kind of scaffold teachers as parents too.
Mm-hmm.
Another good one with parents, I bet, would be like cognates and metalinguistic. Because people like talking about the different names of animals from different
Mhm.
cultures. Did that come up at all? Okay, I've asked like 6 questions. I'm gonna pause.
Can't tell if women's building is frozen. Oh, no, they aren't.
They're not frozen. They've said their piece.
What do you think? What do you think, Bishop Bay? Do you guys have any thoughts? Maybe if you were in this picture, what's something that you would be asking the kids? See, they're maybe thinking about it.
Here, go to that goat one again. All right, we're gonna play a game. So I'm gonna challenge you, the participants here, to come up with an example of parallel talk for this video. And if you can come up with a parallel talk and no one else can, then I'll add your name one more time to the raffle.
Whoa.
So it's like a game with a prize. All right, so you have to remember what parallel talk is. So that's when you're describing something that you see, right? And seeing a child doing. So you can do it in Spanish or in English, first of all, but announce which language.
A ver, ¿tú qué miras? Oh. Hola, buenas tardes. ¿Sí me escuchan?
Yep.
See?
Ah.
Are you volunteering? Do you have an example?
Lo que observo de la foto, está hablando Pacti, ¿no?
Mm-hmm.
Te voy a describir lo que yo observo de la fotografía.
What would you say to this girl with a bear on her shirt to describe, for an example of parallel talk?
¿Cómo? La niña de la chamarra azul,
Mm-hmm.
miro que está sonriendo y que está usando su mano derecha para tocar la cabra.
Aha! That's right, you got it.
Ajá, quiere tocar la cabra, pero y miro también de que el otro niño está como mirando cuando la va a tocar.
Mm-hmm.
La miro feliz, o sea, no la miro ni asustada, está feliz.
Mm-hmm.
Nada más miro que la
Right.
quiere tocar y sonriendo feliz, solamente.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Sylvia's name is getting on there. Unless anyone else has another parallel talk example, we can move. Maybe we can move on. Or an example of any other teaching practice.
Hope, Pac-Bell? Maybe?
Hi. Yes.
Hi. So I guess I would say to the little girl in the blue jacket, I see you're there petting the goat. What color is the goat? Can you tell me something that you might know about the goat? I hope I'm getting it right. I just
No,
love
Alicia, you haven't been through the training. But for I don't think everybody knows who you are.
I
Would
just
you
want to
mind?
cross.
Would you mind introducing yourself to everybody?
Oh, hello everybody. My name is Alicia. I am a TA over here at Mission Bay PECPA classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here for about a week, but this is my first day in the classroom. But yeah, hello everybody.
Wow, thank you for participating with us today on your first day in the room. And thank you for speaking up and sharing. So it sounds like you haven't been to the training, as Patrick said, but yeah, absolutely. One of the things I heard too was that referring to that prior knowledge, right? You know, what do you know about goats? You know, and asking them to think back and reflect. You know, it sounds like they've been talking a little bit about pets and insects, but you know, maybe if you've talked about farm animals or mammals, you know, asking those questions, you know, what do you know about goats, or what do you observe about goats, you know, as she's with it in person in that moment. So yeah, that's a great example of something that you could say. All right, let's look at some of the rest of these photos. All right, any other strategies? Anyone else have anything else to add to these wonderful photos? All right, well, Women's Building, we appreciate you sharing these with us. Does anyone else have photos to share? Mission Bay, what's been happening this past month since we met last? Maybe an activity you did, maybe a study you're doing, an experience you had that involved the families or culture.
Teacher Yolani wants to share something that we did here at Parkville. We made waffle last time. And Teacher Yolani, can you explain to the group? ¿Puede?
Hicimos, bueno, la vez que vino Patrick, pero los volvimos a hacer a petición de un niño, ¿verdad? Le pidió al papá que si traía todos los ingredientes que necesitábamos para volver a hacer, porque a él le encantan los waffles, perdón. Y fue realmente aquí a los niños les encanta lo que es preparación, cortar frutas. Ellos se motivan mucho cuando tenemos esa clase de actividades, y es un tema donde pues todos pueden participar. Hay mucho lenguaje, hay mucho de realia, por ejemplo. Usamos mucho también el lenguaje paralelo, porque tenemos niños con un vocabulario muy, muy escaso, ¿verdad? Tenemos niños con problemas de lenguaje, entonces con ellos usamos ese tipo de lenguaje, el lenguaje descriptivo también. Y los niños la pasan muy bien, y es una experiencia donde ellos están aprendiendo mucho, mucho acerca de este tema. Y pues lo que hacemos es que dividimos los grupos, ¿verdad? Unos niños cortan fruta con un maestro, y el otro grupo prepara los waffles, ¿verdad? Con ayuda también de otro maestro. Y pues A veces siempre hay uno que otro niño, ¿verdad? Que se le hace difícil estar sentado, entonces hay otro maestro con ese otro niño, ¿verdad? Para estar con él, pero la mayoría, casi todos los niños, ellos se involucran en la actividad y es algo donde pueden enriquecer su vocabulario, tanto en inglés como en español, porque, por ejemplo, conmigo lo hacemos en español y si es con el maestro Ricardo, lo hacen en inglés.
Sí, y además también con este proyecto de cocina y del pan, los niños están aprendiendo muchos conceptos que ellos no sabían, como por ejemplo, ¿qué es una taza para medir? Una taza para medir es una herramienta que se utiliza para medir ingredientes líquidos o sólidos. Entonces ellos como ya tienen como ese concepto y en base a eso van aprendiendo nuevos conceptos de lenguaje en ambos idiomas.
Incluso ellos imitan con la plastilina, tenemos la plastilina y cuando agarran la plastilina ellos hacen que bagels, donas, a veces dicen que son tacos, quesadillas o es una pizza, ¿verdad? Y es un tema del pan, es bien integral de la cocina, porque aparte del pan podemos ver formas, se ven cantidades, ¿verdad? Se ven ingredientes. Ellos aprenden a conocer utensilios que se utilizan en la vida cotidiana como es en la casa. Es un tema muy, muy interesante.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, that study has so much cultural impact with children. It seems so simple, but the conversations that you can have about just the different types of bread, but then also just cooking at home and with families, and it's a wonderful way to help integrate that into the classroom. I also heard a little bit of what sounded like maybe it was some TPR, so that total physical response. If you remember that strategy, things like typically when we're cooking and doing things with children, we're modeling how we want them to do it. So things like, okay, now we're going to stir, now we're going to pour, now we're going to cut, right? Those are things that we help, especially with those younger children, to kind of help explain what we mean by that concept. So there's, not just with, I'm hearing a lot of what you're doing with your words, but also, remembering that a lot of these strategies have to do with our bodies, TPR, things like gesturing, pointing, our facial expressions. What are our facial expressions? Helping to teach children in both languages. So it sounds like there is lots of opportunity for all of those.
I could share a couple photos of the waffles. I have the couple pictures of waffles.
Perfect.
If you
Thank you, Patrick.
Oh yes.
Maybe next time I'm gonna record a video of a child when I ask a question, like for example, what is an apron or something,
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, a parent actually kind of started off that deep dive into the concepts of measuring how you measure solids and liquids differently, or dry and wet. So let me see if I can move from, all right. Ricardo, can I put you on the spot here? Can you demonstrate some self-talk for us here and describe what you're doing in these pictures?
Yes. Okay, everybody, now we are going to measure 1 cup of milk because we're gonna add the wet ingredients into our bowl. So I'm going to pour the milk, and Aiden, you're gonna help me to put the milk into the bowl. Yes.
Yeah, you're not done yet. This one too.
Okay.
Mila es
Okay,
Mila.
because we're doing the wet ingredients.
Mila.
Now, what do you think about the egg? Do you think the egg is a wet ingredient or dry ingredient? That's question for teachers.
Oh, that's for us. Well, I know the answer. Who else knows? Wants a guess?
Do you
Come
think
on,
that
women's building. Guess. Women's building.
ustedes creen que el huevo es un ingrediente
Seco.
seco o un ingrediente líquido? ¿Dónde creen que va? ¿Con los ingredientes secos o los ingredientes líquidos?
Maestra Jackie, Maestra Maria.
Disculpa, ¿cuál era la pregunta, Ricardo?
Sí, ahorita vamos a partir un huevo a la mitad. Y este huevo, ¿dónde creen que lo vamos a poner? ¿En los ingredientes secos o en los ingredientes líquidos?
Yo lo pondría en el seco.
¿Por qué?
Mm.
¿Por qué?
Para poder-
Niña Jacqueline, ¿por qué crees que va en los ingredientes secos?
Teacher, para poder mezclarlo.
Oh, muy buena respuesta. Gracias, niña Jacqueline. Pero te recuerdas que los ingredientes líquidos, como habíamos dicho en la clase anterior, los ingredientes líquidos van con los ingredientes líquidos, como por ejemplo el agua, la leche, el aceite, esos son ingredientes líquidos. Y los ingredientes sólidos es la harina, la sal, azúcar. Ok, ahora te voy a hacer la misma pregunta, niña Jacqueline.
Ok.
¿Dónde pondríamos el huevo? ¿Qué hay adentro del huevo?
Hay una yema amarilla y una clara.
Transparente.
Transparente.
Pero no sé, posible es transparente.
¿Y eso crees que está mojado o está seco?
Está húmedo.
Está húmedo. Muy bien. ¿En dónde lo pondríamos ahora? Ahora que ya sabes si es un ingrediente líquido o ingrediente sólido.
Teacher, yo creo que lo pongo ahí en el frasco donde están los líquidos.
Muy bien, muchas gracias.
Gracias, teacher.
Es que si te van a dar tu regalo.
Mi regalo, teacher. Mi sticker.
Stickers. Thank you so much for participating in
Wow.
that.
So good. I even heard some repetition and extension in there. Ricardo went above and beyond. My goodness.
And Jackie. The Oscars just happened.
Yeah,
That's
you
some
guys
good
really. It was wonderful, you guys. Thank
Y
you.
ahora un PDA.
Right? I know. I think everyone's in class, pyramid, everyone's all the strategies are at the top of
Yeah.
everyone's mind right now. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for coming to today's PLC. And thank you for sharing your documentation. And remember, if you don't put things on the Padlet, you can always come with pictures or stories about what you've been doing. And we always want to hear from you, but more importantly, have these opportunities like what happened just now where you can share with each other and practice with each other. That's what we're here for. All right, so I know we have a raffle. Are we ready, Patrick?
I think so.
Perfect.
Can you see this? All right, so we've got Ricardo, Alicia, Adriana, Silvia, and then again Alicia and Silvia because they volunteered for the parallel talk and open-ended questions. And then I put Jacqueline because she very graciously acted as a child for us. And Ricardo, you're only on there once. Okay, ready? And if you're not on here, it's because you've already won. Well, there you go.
Thank you. Is that $100 gift card?
I think something like that.
Okay, thank you.
And one more. Ooh. Oh, congratulations, teacher.
Yay!
All right.
All right, we'll put the survey in the chat. Oh, I don't have the link.
Oh, we don't need to do the individual
we'll just-
survey anymore. Yeah. But we just need to know what we're going to do next time. Maybe we'll continue this again next time. It was fun, and I appreciate your contributions.
Yes, thank you, everybody. All right, we'll see you next month.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.